All right, we're going to turn now to the Delphi murders trial of Richard Allen going on in Indiana. Allen is accused of killing teen friends Abby Williams and Libby German back in February of 2017. Now, during day 13 of testimony today, the defense called the executive director of mental health services for the Indiana Department of Corrections. Just a reminder that cameras are not allowed in that courtroom. Dr. Deanna Dwinger testified when Allen arrived at the Westville Correctional Facility. He was suffering from depression and anxiety disorder. She also told the jury that when Allen began confessing to the killings, he was seriously mentally ill, and being in prolonged isolation aggravated his mental health issues. Allen allegedly confessed to killing Abby and Libby in several phone calls to his wife and mother. It was also reported that he flushed a Bible in the toilet and then was eating his own feces. Now, on cross-examination by the state, Dr. Dwinger testified Allen was not diagnosed as seriously mentally ill until he started his decline in April of last year. Allen's therapist, Dr. Monica Walla, testified for the state earlier this week and said that she believed that he was faking his bizarre behavior. All right, let's bring in our guest for this hour. Joining us to discuss, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Marie Peretta. Marie, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. Let's begin right there. The confessions in this case of Richard Allen, very important. And the defense has to do what it can to undercut the importance of those confessions. They're bringing in the expert to talk about the mental health issues. How do you think it went for them?
I think it has to go through well, but the case is still going to continue. But I think the fact that he's actually documented in front of people eating his own feces speaks volumes of what his mental state was at the time he was doing that. That alone is enough to say this is somebody suffering from mental illness. This is somebody who just had a breakdown. It doesn't even matter when it happened. If he's capable of doing that, then maybe he is capable of confessing to something he didn't do because he was isolated, secluded, extremely anxious, and he just lost it.
Maria, that's a long way to go if you're talking about faking symptoms, don't you think? Eating your own feces?
I think it is a lot, and that's why it just says a lot about his mental status, and maybe he's not faking it. Maybe he is suffering from mental illness, because who eats their own feces? Maybe somebody who would be driven to confess to a crime so heinous that they did not commit. Someone who suffered a complete psychotic break, whose words cannot be taken against him because he basically lost his mind.
Absolutely. Now, you combine that with the fact that a lot of his confessions really had odd and bizarre facts that didn't really match the case. He talked about some of the damage that he did to the girls, that he allegedly molested them, but there was no evidence of that. He talked about shooting the girls, no evidence of that. When you combine those things, how will this jury deal with these confessions? Will it sort of be this thing where they just throw it out, or will they give it some weight?
They are going to give it weight. They're going to use common sense evidence. Even though the confessions were not suppressed, they're going to say what we're saying. Who eats his own feces? A person who's mentally ill, period. And it's going to work in his favor. Unless, prosecution can show something just beyond reasonable doubt that he did this, his confession, the lack of the veracity in it and the craziness of what took place eating the feces is definitely going to help in his favor with the jurors.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the evidence, I think. I think this is going to cancel itself out.